Hey everybody, welcome back. This time I'm going to be attempting to make some custom fiberglass fenders for the camper. Couldn't find anything I liked online, like this teardrop shape that I thought was kind of cool. So I thought I'd make some out of metal. So I bought these metal trailer fenders and realized that making things out of metal is hard. I'm in the midst of also renovating an old pickup truck right now, old fire truck, with rusted metal floors, and it just got tiring. So yeah, I'm going to do something I know, which is working with wood and fiberglass. So I thought, though, I may have a use for those inside, so I may be able to use those metal fenders on the inside later, hopefully. So here I cut out the shapes with MDF. I just put it all together on CAD, printed it out on paper, transferred it to MDF, and now I'm just trimming both the pieces so they will match each other. So after that, the next step is to build some framework so I can separate these two pieces of MDF to make both sides, so to make this thing 3D. So just going to build a skeleton here. So the next step after that skeletons are built is to wrap this thing. I'm using just a piece of old laminate that I had around, and I'm going to wrap it around that curve to give me just the general shape of this thing. And it turned out to be a real bugger, but it did work in the end. It's just I had to heat this stuff up and really make it want to make that curve, because it doesn't want to do that naturally. But eventually it worked pretty well. After that, it's just a matter of putting on contact cement on the appropriate places. So I just marked out where everything's going to meet. Put that on there, let it dry a little bit, and then we're ready for assembly. Once I got the laminate all secured on there, I applied some Bondo to the edges, sanded everything down, put a coat of primer on it, and then painted it with a black enamel to give it a nice smooth surface so I could polish it out. You want the surface to be as good as you can because your mold's going to mimic exactly what's here. So lots of wet sanding, polishing, waxing, all that good stuff. Eventually, it's just time to throw in the towel. In order to make the three parts of the mold, you have to put these separator pieces in there, so you can make it at 3 different sections. So cut this to the same shape, and then I'm just sticking it on there with some hot glue, and then you use modeling clay to seal up that edge, and that gives you a place to build the form to. At that point, it's just a matter of fiberglassing. I added 3 layers here for each section of the mold that I was building. Oh yeah, and I added blue pigment to the epoxy just because it looks really cool. Other than that, it really has no purpose, but it does look cool. So I got to this point of the video, trying to edit this thing, and I realized I deleted a whole bunch of footage of making the actual mold. So it's a 3-part mold. I did make it. See, here it is. It's proof that I finished it. But I really wanted to show you how I built the darn thing. Anyway, it worked well. I put these little bumps in it that help align the 3 pieces together. Tried to make it so nothing would get captured, and it worked. So yeah, so at this point, this was like February I did these, and now it's July, it's August, let's face it, it's August. And I haven't touched them since because I've been a little nervous about starting to build the actual fenders themselves because I'm afraid they're going to stick in the molds. Yeah, that's my life. So while my little buddy here finishes vacuuming the floor, I got to work peeling off this PVA release film. This stuff is so satisfying to peel. It's like having a sunburn that doesn't hurt. You can just wash it off, it's water soluble, but this is way more fun. So as you can see here, when I demolded that, it did leave some rough spots here and there. And so I got to really make sure that's kind of smooth when we go to mold the fenders. So what I did is I just took gobs and gobs of demolding wax and basically just covered all of those little defects. It's going to leave a little roughness probably on that final product, but it's nothing that I can't just fill up with some body filler later. It should make it pretty easy. I then took some of that same wax and just applied it along all the joints, just as a sealant along the joints, just to keep that epoxy from migrating between the two pieces of the mold. And yeah, hopefully that'll work really well. We'll see. You know, I know putting all this wax on here is going to inhibit progress later, like finishes and stuff. I'm gonna have to make sure I get this all off there, but you know, that's for future Kim. I don't have to worry about that right now. And you know, I'm not sure I even like him today, so he'll deal with it. At this point, I'm pretty sure this project is going to be just all trash. All this work is just going to be for nothing because it's not going to work. So I figured the garbage can is a great stand to hold this whole thing up. I've got everything clamped together. It's ready. Theoretically, everything's ready for me to start building the actual fenders at this point. Everything up till now has just been for practice, I guess. So basically all I'm doing is same thing you do with any other epoxy project. Coat everything with epoxy and start laying everything in. So I probably could have looked up on Google and found out what I needed to do as far as how thick this needs to be, how many layers, how many coats, everything. But I didn't. My years of inexperience have taught me that I can just try stuff, and usually it works. So we tried it. What I ended up with here is 3 layers of 6-ounce fabric for the first part here. And then what I did is added this thickener material. And I wish I knew what this stuff was even called. I bought this like 10 years ago, yeah, 20 years ago. I don't know, a long time ago. I bought a big roll of it. Basically, it's kind of the thickness of like boxboard, cardboard boxboard. And it does just really give you some stiffness in the final product. So you lay this in here, and just by adding thickness, it makes the whole thing more rigid. Does not add any strength at all, but it really does a nice job with the rigidity. So I laid this in, and then on top of that, 3 more layers of fiberglass and resin, and that was it. That was done. So, oh yeah, in the corners here, I had to add this chopped strand fiberglass too, and work that in with some epoxy, just to take up the thickness in those corners where I couldn't get that filler material to stick in there. It doesn't like to bend corners very well because it's so heavy. So. After curing overnight, it is now time to reveal. And this is the part I've been dreading for 6 months, is taking this thing apart, because I've had molds lock up on me before where I did not get enough release agent on. And I was expecting to fight with this one for hours, and I think it took me 20 minutes, probably, this whole process, which I'm sparing you most of it. But it came apart, it worked, and it was fabulous. So, you know, eventually it's all done, and Bob's your uncle. Hey, everything's good. It turned out so good that I just repeated the same process, made another one right away, and now I'm done with them. I just have to finish them, and yeah, I'm pretty happy. So hopefully you learned something from what I did here. But, you know, if you procrastinate long enough, things will turn out. All right, see you next time.